Hello, my chicklets. Today we are going to be reading a story that is on the sadder side. It does come with some warnings, so make sure to check that description. And if you're not feeling up to it today, go ahead and skip this one, and we'll see you for the next one. Today I'm going to read Just Gone. Cold sweat beaded along Virgil's forehead as he shot awake. Something was wrong. No, he was safe. He was in his bed. He touched the weighted blanket he always slept with, felt the sleeve of his old hoodie, which he wore to bed, and ran a hand through his hair, tugging just enough to feel it. He was safe. He was in his room. So why did something feel so off? He brought his thumb up to his mouth, chewing on the nail just a bit. He hated this. His brain wouldn't allow him to rationalize that nothing was wrong. Instead, the alarm bells just kept ringing in his head. It was irritating more than anything. With a groan, he pushed his blanket off, deciding to switch to his other hoodie, which was a lot warmer. He knew Patton wouldn't mind, even if it was... Virgil looked at the clock, groaning at the fact that it was 3 a.m. He couldn't wake up Patton, especially when he knew the puffball wouldn't even have the decency to be sarcastic with him. Maybe he should bug Logan instead. Sitting in Logan's room helped him feel more grounded, and he could just sit there on the floor with his phone while the other slept. Nodding at his plan, Virgil made his way out of his room, planning on walking across the hall to Logan's room. But the door was gone. The door was gone. What little semblance of calm he had managed to grab immediately slipped away as he walked over to where Logan's door should have been, feeling the wall as if it might just be an illusion. All he felt was the wall. No. Without logic, what were they going to do? They had already seen what happened when anxiety ducked out, but if Logan dipped, Thomas wasn't going to survive. There were so many things that required logical thinking. This had to be a prank, some kind of cruel joke that one of the other sides thought would be funny. Remus, Virgil growled, stalking towards Remus's room. He was the only one chaotic enough to think that this might be a good idea. Of course this was his fault. Virgil hid his worry and anxiety behind a mask of anger, lying even to himself as he slammed open Remus's door. "Remus, what did you do?" he asked in a hushed whisper. He didn't want to wake the others, but he needed to see Logan's door if he was going to be able to relax at all tonight. With a snort, Remus shot up from his slumber, looking around tiredly. "Emo, what are you doing here?" He yawned, stretching and showing the other side that he very much did sleep without pajamas. Virgil just groaned, snapping Remus into at least pajama pants. "What did you do with Logan's door?" That woke Remus up pretty quickly. "What?" "It's gone. What did you do? It's not a funny joke, Dookie." Rather than giving Virgil a response, Remus scrambled out of bed, wobbling on his legs like a baby giraffe first learning to stand. This didn't stop him. He stumbled past Virgil, finally steady on his feet, only to stop in front of Logan's room, or where his room should have been. He stood frozen like a stone, and the longer he said nothing, the more Virgil began to think this wasn't a prank. The silence and his own thoughts were cut as Remus screamed out for Janice, his voice waking the rest of the mindscape as well. They all came stumbling out of their rooms to check on the commotion. But Janice was the first to approach the normally chaotic side. "Remus, why on earth have you woken me up at this completely acceptable hour of the morning?" he asked. Remus had woken him up a few times for benign things, but normally it was because Remus didn't have much of a grasp on time. This didn't seem to be the case. Janice felt Remus's hand on his chin as he was turned to look at a wall. Obviously, this was important. The Duke was never this quiet unless something grave had happened. Unfortunately, in his sleep-addled state, it took Janice a moment to realize just why a blank wall was so important. Once he did, though, all the color drained from his face. "Where's Logan's door?" He turned to look at Virgil, who was chewing on his nails, Patton, who was just now understanding the severity of what was happening, and Roman, who still seemed a bit dead on his feet. No one answered. "Where is Logan's door?" Janice repeated with a bit more force. "Do any of you know?" "I just came out to go sit in his room, and it was gone." Virgil would normally be snarky, but no one knew what was going on, and now really wasn't the time. Logan was probably the side he was closest to, and he was gone. Well then, did something happen that might have made him duck out? Janice's voice began to grow more and more serious, the edge of sleep slipping off with every word. Is there anything that happened recently? No, Virgil said. He was fine yesterday when I talked to him before bed. He was acting the same way he always has been. Janice began to pace a bit, and Patton spoke up. We should go talk to Thomas. Make sure the kiddo is okay? Patton was hesitating a bit. He didn't want to wake their host up this early in the morning, but it was kind of an emergency. Thomas, Virgil said before disappearing to wake up their host. Thomas, wake up. We need to check on you. Virgil? What's going on? He looked at the clock. Early, yes, I know, but how are you feeling? Tired? What's this about? What's 2 times 2? 4. Virgil, what's going on? Logan is missing. Janice's voice spoke from behind Virgil as the others had appeared. What? Logan is gone? Is everything okay? Janice was scrutinizing every inch of Thomas's face, checking for something, some missing piece. The question is, how are you doing? I'm tired, but nothing feels wrong. Not like when Virgil ducked out. Oh no. Patton covered his mouth, eyes shooting to Janice, who was attempting to hide how he was also worse for wear. Thank you, Thomas. You have been very helpful. Try to go back to sleep. He quickly grabbed Virgil, who hissed at him as they pulled him back into the mindscape. Janice, you don't think he... Patton's voice quivered, regret hanging on each syllable. His room isn't there, and Thomas doesn't feel any different. Patton began to cry and Virgil pulled away from Janice. What the fuck happened? There was a lot of pain and guilt on Janice's face. He'd experienced this event once before. He should have seen it coming. He should have been able to stop it. Logan reintegrated. He's gone. Thank you all for listening. Again, that was Just Gone. There is not a part 2. That is the end of that story. I do still hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you have a wonderful day.